to this channel or you haven't been watching for a while, here is a quick update. For the last 3 months we've been traveling in South Africa and we've been to the most amazing places. And finally we ended up in Cape Town. We dropped off our rental car, we took a plane back to Johannesburg and oh, by the way, this is us. We are Nick and Lens. For the last 5 years we have been blogging and vlogging about Naturist traveling. And now we embarked on an epic journey to experience Naturism in every continent of the world. Subscribe to travel along with us. Right now we are in Africa.
Our time in South Africa has unfortunately almost come to an end, but there was one more naturist place that we really wanted to visit. We are at Kiepersolkloof. It's quite a mouthful, but literally it means the valley where the Kiepersol tree lives.
We will show you a little bit around this place and meanwhile we will tell you how it is to travel in South Africa as a naturist.
But first, maybe a little disclaimer. In our previous videos we got some comments about us comparing South Africa with Europe. Please know that we don't do this because we think that Europe is the best place in the world. It has nothing to do with better or worse, it's just that we are Europeans and Europe is our point of reference.
You may be wondering why we picked South Africa in the first place. Well, we are on this big trip to try naturism in all the continents of the world.
And South Africa happens to be the only country in Africa where there's actually naturism that is accessible for foreigners. If you do a quick Google search, you won't find that much about naturism in South Africa. The first result will probably be the famous naturist resort Dunedin, and what follows are just news articles about a nude beach or failed attempt to create an official nude beach. It's not really all that promising.
But we have a good contact with Lofty and Amanda, who happen to have a travel agency here in South Africa. And thanks to them, we learned that this country has so much more to offer than a first Google search. So we just thought, let's give it a try.
Look at this red road. This is really an image of South Africa. Together with the Table Mountain and big wild animals, that is the image that probably everybody has about South Africa. But we had no idea that it was so much more.
The diversity in nature is absolutely stunning. Yes, of course, you have the savanna-like game parks that you've seen a lot of times on National Geographic. But what we didn't know was that this country has a lot of mountains.
And even the mountain ranges are very varied on themselves. Like Blight River Canyon looked a lot like the Andes in Latin America. Then there are the Drakensberg National Parks that look a lot like the Highlands in Scotland. And the mountains next to the sea at the Garden Route, they made us think a lot of the Big Sur in California. And that are just the mountains. South Africa also has 3,000 kilometers of coastline and some of the most stunning beaches that we've ever seen. The endless beaches south of Durban and the wild coves on the wild coast that looked like we are the first persons who ever visited them were definitely among our favorites. But pretty much every beach we encountered had its own, I would say, personality almost.
What we also never realized was how big this country is. South Africa is huge. If you look at the map of Africa, it's just like this little tip in the south of the continent. But this place is just enormous. We've been traveling around here for the last 3 months and we feel that we even hardly scratched the surface. And this is where we are staying, by the way. It is a little house with 2 beds, it has a kitchen and it has a bathroom. In that bathroom you have a shower and a bath, obviously, but we don't like to use it because we have outdoor showers. And they're technically not our outdoor showers because they belong to the campsite, but we love outdoor showers. When it comes to enjoying this country without clothes, you don't have a lot of options. Yet every naturist resort is very unique. Are you gonna give the presentation?
I didn't really think of bringing PowerPoint with me, but I will tell you about the places that we visited. First, there is Dunedin. It's the crown jewel of naturism in South Africa. It's the most popular resort, it has the most international atmosphere, and it has everything that a traveler needs, like different kinds of accommodations, they have a bar, they have a restaurant, and every weekend there's something going on. If you're more into getting away from the crowds and really getting into nature, then this place where we are right now, Kiepersolkloof, is a really good option. It has 200 hectares of land, which makes it one of the largest naturist resorts in the world. But yet, I don't think that there ever are more than 100 people at the same time. So, if you do the math, that's like 2 hectares per person on a busy weekend day. That's quite a lot. For a more homely naturist experience, we went to Bird of Paradise. It's quite a small resort, it's more like a guest house, but it's the kind of place where guests just all hang around together next to the pool, have chats, have drinks. It's a really social place. Also homely, but yet in a completely different way, is Bare Necessities in the very south of the country. The views from this resort are absolutely spectacular, and if you ever wanted to try to milk a cow, this is like the place to be.
Every naturist resort has a swimming pool, obviously, but we found better places to swim naked. The most famous naturist beach is Sandy Bay in Cape Town. It has the advantage that it's very close to one of the biggest and most popular cities in the whole South Africa. Much less famous is Secret Beach in Port Elizabeth. It's a beautiful, big, wide, sandy beach, and most of the time you're just there by yourself. And then you have Mpanyati Beach. The Naturist Federation tried to make this beach the first official naturist beach in the country, but that didn't work out as planned. Nevertheless, put it on your bucket list because you have to go there. It's a beautiful beach. As far as we know, you have two other naturist beaches, and one is the north of Durban and the other one is in East London, but we didn't go there. Anyway, you want to come for a swim?
It's actually not too bad, but I think I've seen something better. This is much more my temperature, and this hot tub is actually quite a genius system because it doesn't use gas or electricity. It's being heated by these giant black tubes that just warm up the water via the sun. This is much better. In fact, South Africa is really a country in which we could live if the travel bug would eventually stop biting us. But of course, it's not all lollipops and rainbows, and there were a couple of things that disturbed us in this country. One of those things are the big fences that people put around their houses or around neighborhoods, and I totally understand that it's for safety, but we are people who value their freedom a lot, and those fences just make us feel as if we are in some kind of cage. For some kind of reason, everywhere we went, there was always somebody mowing the lawn. Like always. And the sound of the lawn mowers, it drove us completely crazy and we can't understand it. So people from South Africa, if you are watching this, your lawn looks fine. You don't need to mow it every single day. And then there's load shedding. Long story short, there's not enough electricity to supply the whole country. So every day there are blackouts of at least several hours, they quite bothered us, but we can only imagine how annoying it must be for the people who actually have to live and work here. And wherever we traveled, the first question we always got was,
did you hear about load shedding?
And when we said that we had and that we've been traveling for a while, that we experienced load shedding, you could just see the relief on their faces that they didn't have to explain the whole thing again.
Thank goodness!
I can't say that the distance traveling to South Africa is a disadvantage, but the prices of the flights definitely were unpleasant for a wallet. But once we got here, it got way better.
For accommodation in South Africa, we paid about between 35 and 50 euros a night. But for that price, we had really nice self-catering apartments. Sometimes we paid a little bit more, especially between Christmas and New Year's Eve. But a lot of times we also paid a little bit less. And then the activities, the entrance fees to national parks are about 10 to 15 euros. That's about 200 to 300 rand entrance. But that is foreigner prices. People from South Africa actually pay a lot less.
And there are also a lot of free things to do, like hiking trails or beaches and stuff like that.
And when it comes to food and drinks, a meal in a restaurant costs about 10 euros. Beer costs about 2 euros, a bottle of wine about 10 euros. But those are restaurant prices, and since we stayed a lot in self-catered places, we actually bought a lot of stuff at the supermarkets, and that made it a lot cheaper. I think that our biggest expense was actually our rental car, which cost us about 1,000 euros a month, and that is without gas and without highway tolls. But having a car in South Africa is absolutely necessary. The public transport system doesn't really run as it's in most other places in the world. And if it goes, you can only go from city to city or from major tourist hotspot to major tourist hotspot, which were technically the places that we actually wanted to avoid. And there's also a system of minibuses, but these are very uncomfortable and it takes a very long time before they get you from place A to place B.
For me, the trickiest part was driving on the left side of the road. I have to say, it took some practice. And also the roads, the conditions of the roads were not always that good. I mean, there were people on the road, there were cattle, there were potholes, so I had to be really careful. If you don't feel like driving yourself in South Africa, we can highly recommend you to take a tour with Joxilux. Amanda and Lofty are super friendly and they are really good drivers. And I have to say, they don't pay us to say that, but it comes from our heart. We had the first part of our journey together and also the last part of our journey. And what is really cool about booking a tour with them is that they don't have a fixed itinerary. So you can just say what you want to do and they just take you there.
Another reason why you may want to consider a guided tour is for safety. And it's not just about animals. In fact, I've been told a million times that maybe I should not walk in flip-flops here because of the snakes. But there's also the aspect of crime. Johannesburg, for example, is notoriously known to be one of the most dangerous cities in the world.
But we've also learned that not the whole country is like Johannesburg. You have a lot more places that are more relaxed and more chill and where it's more safer to walk around than in Johannesburg. But it's always recommended to be streetwise.
We can honestly say that during the last months we have never felt unsafe, but maybe we should go knock on wood because we haven't left the country yet.
That's okay. Okay, that's settled.
The best tips that we can give you to travel in South Africa is to never drive at night because that's when most of the crime happens and when you don't see the potholes and all the animals and the people on the road. Also, always be aware of your surroundings, and if it doesn't feel right, make sure you get out of there. And make sure that you don't look as if you're worth robbing. And also make sure that your car doesn't look as if it's worth robbing. Just hide your stuff in the trunk or anything. And the last and probably the most important tip is always ask advice of the locals. Like South Africans, they are super friendly and kind and helpful people, and they will help you wherever they can. So we took huge advantage of that. Everywhere we went, we just asked for what are the right places to walk, how about the safety, which animals we have to be careful of.
Good restaurant.
What's the best way is to get from place A to place B. And we're pretty sure that is the main reason why we had no issues at all.
The cool thing is that almost everybody here in South Africa speak English, which is very helpful for us. You have about 11 official languages here and plenty of unofficial languages. And the glue to bring all these people together is English. And as a tourist, that is very convenient.
But you will also learn that some Afrikaans words have found their way into the South African English. For example, you almost never hear people say yes or no, but they will say ja or nee. And a pickup truck is called a bakkie. And also, when people talk about the farm, they don't necessarily mean a place where you can have cattle or grow vegetables or anything. Basically, every large domain that we would call an estate is called here a farm. For example, Kiepersolkloof, where we are now, everybody calls it a farm. And then what's also interesting to see is that if somebody tells you to buy a donkey, this is not some cultural local habit or anything. They actually mean thank you very much.
Just so you know. Before we start packing and leave South Africa with pain in our souls, we really want to thank each and every one of you for making us feel so welcome in your beautiful country.
And you are with way too many to thank you all personally. But just if you're watching this and our paths have crossed during the last months, know that we are very thankful for your conversations, for your advice, for your company.
For the smiles.
For your smiles. Thank you very much for that. Much more than the big animals and all that splendid nature, you have made this trip unforgettable for us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
But of course, our trip will continue. And if everything goes well, in our next video, we will be in a different continent.
Yep.
So if you don't want to miss that,
just hit the subscribe button. It is free, it costs you nothing, but it will do a huge thing for us. And if you like this video, please give us a big fat thumbs up. And we just see you in our new video in a new continent. Bye!